It's a strange question, isn't it? Why is it that so many of us feel this deep sense of fear, even when, on the surface, everything seems okay? We're not in any immediate danger, but still, there's this anxiety. It really cuts to the heart of what it's like to be alive today, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into.
So we're calling this the Age of Fear. And to help us understand it, we're going to look at the ideas of philosopher Takashi Uchiyama. We'll explore where this feeling comes from, what it's doing to us, and, this is the big one, how we might just start to find a way through it all. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so first things first, we need to be really clear about what kind of fear we're actually talking about here. This isn't, the fear you feel when there's a clear and present danger right in front of you. Nope, it's something way more subtle. And honestly, because of that, it's a lot more unsettling.
And this right here, this just nails it. It's that vague, nagging anxiety about the future. It's like a low-grade hum of worry that's always on in the background. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's that feeling that, yeah, things might be okay today, but the systems we count on, pensions, healthcare, you name it, they feel like they're slowly falling apart. It's this deep sense that the future probably won't be as good as the present, and the worst part is feeling like there's nothing we can do about it.
So, if it's not some obvious immediate threat, then where is all this coming from, right? Why has this vague anxiety become such a huge part of our lives? Well, according to the source material we're looking at, it basically boils down to two main things. And here they are, the two big culprits. First, our massive systems are failing us. And second, the social glue that used to hold us all together is dissolving. Let's break down that first one, systemic failure. Okay, so a huge chunk of this anxiety we feel, it actually comes from the very systems that are supposed to be making our lives better and more organized. And we're talking specifically about the global market economy.
Yeah, look at this. This comparison really shows the massive disconnect, doesn't it? On one side, you've got these gigantic, faceless systems. Think international finance, the market economy. And they're just chugging along, demanding constant growth. And then there's us, the individuals. We're left feeling completely powerless to change any of it. The system looks at us and just sees labor commodities, and all our relationships start to feel like transactions. So what's the end result? We end up feeling controlled, small, and just really, really alone.
And that's the real kicker, isn't it? It's this feeling of being totally trapped. We can see that the system has major flaws. We know it's fueling our anxiety, but what can we do? Our survival, our ability to pay the bills, depends on playing the game. We're forced to participate in the very same structure that's making us feel so powerless in the first place.
All of this pressure leads to something the Japanese call a muen shakai, which basically means an unconnected society or a society of broken ties. And it makes sense, right? When every interaction starts to feel like a transaction, those old-school community bonds and shared values just dissolve. We start to get suspicious of each other, we get trapped in our own little bubbles of anxiety, and the whole social fabric just starts to come apart at the seams. Okay, so that's the diagnosis of the problem. And I know, it sounds pretty bleak. But don't worry. The analysis doesn't just leave us there. It actually pivots to a really powerful and, I think, hopeful solution. And it's all about reimagining our economy as a way to rebuild our relationships.
The central idea here is something called the Hanshijo Keizai, which translates to a half-market economy. And honestly, it's a pretty radical concept. It basically says, hey, what if our economic activity wasn't just about making as much money as possible? What if it was also about creating communities, strengthening our connections with each other, and valuing all the important stuff that money just can't buy?
So what does that actually look like? Well, the core principles are pretty simple, but they're also really profound. It means putting real value on things beyond money, like our connection to nature and our relationships. It means focusing on the well-being of the community, not just maximizing profit. And it means bringing everything back down to a human scale. Creating activities where we can actually feel like we belong and share a common purpose.
Now, it's super important to get this part right. This isn't about, tearing down capitalism or starting some massive revolution. The idea is much more subtle. It's about building new, smaller worlds inside the current system. It's about carving out little spaces, local, human-focused spaces that just operate on a completely different set of values.
And all of this leads to the ultimate goal, right? The real antidote to this fear that's been hanging over us. And it all comes down to reclaiming a powerful, maybe even old-fashioned idea. Think about it. At its core, this fear is a product of isolation. It gets stronger the more alone and powerless we feel. So the solution can't just be about toughening up by ourselves. The real answer, the true antidote, is found in rebuilding our connections with other people. It's all about collective strength. And there's a word for that: Solidarity. Or in Japanese, rentai. It's a word that feels a little out of fashion, maybe, but it is exactly what we're talking about. It's that feeling of mutual support, of having a shared fate, that deep down sense that we're all in this together. That is what finally pushes back against the fear.
So this all brings it back to us, doesn't it? It leaves us with a very personal question. Because the theory is one thing, but putting it into practice is something else entirely. It really forces us to look around and ask ourselves, in a world that seems designed to pull us apart, where can you start to build one of these new worlds? In your neighborhood, through a hobby, maybe even at your job. Where can you find or create your own sense of solidarity?